Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, AirspeedPrime here with my next channel update video. This was mainly just giving you guys an insight into what videos you can expect from me on my channel. Basically kind of over the Christmas period, because there's some pretty important stuff coming up in the next 2 weeks. And then we'll be getting into, like, of course, end of year content that I usually do. So that's what I'm going to cover here. So first up, Voltron Legendary Defender is out in 2 days. This Friday, Season 8, the last season of Voltron Legendary Defender is released. And of course, I will be reviewing it on my channel. The plan is to do it in the usual style with a slight difference. That being that I'll do separate reviews for my initial watch through of the first like 3 or 4 episodes. Like episodes like 4 to 8 or something like that. Then like 9 to like 13 or something like that. You'll see just a couple of different videos, but the difference here is that I'm going to, on the very last episode, the final episode of Voltron, I'll be doing a kind of live reaction type thing. So it'll be similar to the reviews, it's just that I'll have my laptop in front of me and I'll be watching it, and you'll get my initial reactions as I'm filming myself as well. So that'll be a slight difference, just a fun little thing to do at the end of the show. So that's something to look forward to as well. But other than that, it'll be the usual style coverage that we do. Then it's not fully planned yet, but the plan is to do the Voltron Online podcast, our big review for Season 8, this Sunday as well. And then on Monday, I'll probably do a video covering like my initial thoughts on just Season 8 as the ending of Voltron, and just initial thoughts on the show now that it has kind of come to an end when it happens on Friday. So you'll see that video on Monday, as for the most part, most of the Voltron coverage on my channel kind of coming to an end. We'll see what they do in terms of comics and stuff like that, if they want to continue things on. The only other Voltron video you may see into the future is when I have a chance to rewatch the full series. You might see me come back and do a more in-depth analysis of the kind of pluses and minuses of Voltron Legendary Defender over the course of its run. So look out for that. The second thing then would be Avatar: The Last Airbender Imbalance Part 1. The obviously next Avatar comic has been a bit of a break since the end of North and South, but we're finally coming back next week. And the interesting thing is that the release date, the release dates for this comic work a little bit differently than we've had before. This time out, we're getting the mass market release first. So the book is actually out Tuesday, December 18th from Amazon, online retailers, digitally as far as I'm aware. And then the comic book store release date is actually the 19th, so the day afterwards. So the two dates are just 1 day apart, but effectively it's the same release window. But the key difference here is that digitally it's going to be available as soon as possible. And that means I think more people are going to read this book while the hype is there for the initial release. That 2-week window that we have with all the other books, where a couple of people have read it from comic book stores and then everyone else gets a chance to read it 2 weeks later. It's always been this thing that sort of like kills the discussion because everyone's reading the book at a completely separate time. Whereas here, the book's going to be available digitally as soon as the book is actually released. And that makes it so easy for me, of course, to do content as well, and that I don't have to worry about like getting a physical copy from somewhere as soon as possible, because I can just get the book digitally to review it and then worry about the physical copy afterwards. So as for content, you will probably see a video on Tuesday, depending on when the book is officially released. Like if it's like midnight, like Monday is when maybe they put the digital version up. Like I'll maybe try and get something out, but realistically, it'll be Tuesday probably when you actually see something about that. That's the best I can do. The plan is also to do the podcast review for the book, where we go through it page by page. That's Sunday as well. Again, the podcast stuff hasn't been properly planned just yet, but that is the idea of what we're going to be doing. So that's what you have to look forward to there. And then I assume as the week goes on, I'll probably end up doing like another video on Imbalance, maybe once more people have read it and I kind of see what the fandom is saying about it. Is it a liked book or not? And we'll get into some really, really in-depth analysis on it. Then the main thing I suppose I want to do this channel update video for is to let you guys know about the sort of end of year content that I usually do. This will primarily be Avatar stuff, and if you've been not following my channel for a while, you probably know that I've done this the last couple of years. The main one is going to be my top 5 story moments from this year. So that in this year's case, it's going to be the 2018 top 5 Avatar story moments. So I'll be looking at obviously all the story content that was released this year and compiling my personal list of my top 5 story moments that happened this year from all the comics and so on. So you'll see that video at some point. The other video I usually always do is the 2019 preview for Avatar merchandise and content. That's one you'll also see towards the end of the year to hype up what's coming next year, because 2019... as you probably know from following my channel, looks like it's going to be a very, very packed year. But we'll see how it pans out when we really like analyze and go through everything. What do we have and how much of it's actually meaningful content. The other video I may or may not do is just a general 2018 Avatar year in review type video. That one probably won't be as like time intensive to do as all the other ones, which require like a ton of like different graphics to be made. That one would be more, I think, just me just talking on camera about just my general thoughts on 2018, you know, the year, like the delays that happened during the year, the key events in terms of big news and what was and was not big news, that sort of thing. And I think those 3 videos work pretty well together to kind of end off a year and then start off a new year. But that's the sort of Avatar stuff you can expect. Other than that, I believe Steven Universe is coming back finally towards the end of December. I'll fit that stuff in when I can. Again, I'm so out of the loop on just what on earth is happening there. Just off the top of my head, I don't even remember what the last episode of Steven Universe was necessarily about. I have a general idea about where the story is, but like in terms of like how far into the season or what season we're in, I'm completely out of the loop because of this delay. I continue to just really, really dislike what they're doing with the scheduling on that. Star Wars stuff, obviously there's no movie this year. I don't think any of the books I'm particularly interested in are out until next year. Resistance, I haven't kept up with, unfortunately. Everything I've heard about the episodes that have come since the initial batch that I reviewed don't seem particularly interesting to me. So right now Star Wars hasn't been doing a lot to particularly appeal to me right now in terms of what the new content is. Hopefully, like as the hype for episode 9 comes out, we'll start to begin to see what exactly that's about, and we can get into maybe analyzing what's going on there, and some of those other books come out. But you probably won't see a lot of Star Wars content around that in the next kind of coming months until that stuff kind of comes out. Anime stuff, yeah, I'm going to continue to review Boruto, Sword Art Online, Attack on Titan when it comes back, which I forget exactly when it's meant to be back, but we've already been, I think, off for a couple of months, so I can't see it being too long before it comes back, so that'll be something that comes back onto the channel. And I think it's been a weird kind of a couple of weeks on the channel, in that like November especially was very light on content for my channel, just because a lot of stuff just kind of stopped for November. There was not a lot of Avatar stuff happening apart from a couple of small pieces of news. So, you know, it's never something I want to happen on the channel, that it's just some of my really regular content and there's nothing else. And so that week when I look back on my videos that I put out and it's just a Sword Art Online Alicization anime review, Boruto anime review, Sword Art Online Alicization review for the following week, Boruto, there was nothing to cover in that week. It's just, yeah, it just happened to be a time where there really wasn't a lot that happened. With regards to, I suppose, Avatar discussion topics and like why they're not weekly anymore, part of it is just that there's not a lot of topics to me that are all that interesting to talk about that I haven't already covered. And a lot of the stuff that I'm like interested in talking about is stuff that like I've already kind of done videos on. So with those, it's always a case of just when there's new news, when there's content to actually talk about, I'll have the discussion content as soon as I can. But if there's nothing happening, there's nothing to discuss, I'm not gonna like force a video out just to put a video out there. I don't like to just kind of make up content and just kind of like not put a lot of effort into it, because it's not really something that kind of warrants too much discussion. So a lot of that just depends on just what's kind of going on in the fandom, if something kind of comes to mind and so on. Hopefully next year looks like it's going to be, I think, a little bit better. I think we do have some early releases and stuff like that next year, so that should be an improvement. But yeah, I think that's most of what I want to talk about. So yeah, I'm pretty much going to end the video there. Obviously, I'm kind of preparing for the lots of videos I'm going to be doing on Friday for Voltron. That's going to be a very, very heavy day of just watching a lot of Voltron and making a ton of videos. So that's going to be an interesting day. It's always fun, but it's always exhausting right at the end because of just the amount of time on computer, just like downloading files, editing files, you know, image editing for thumbnails and stuff like that. Like it takes time, and when I'm doing like 4 to 5 videos a day, like it's rough. So thankfully, you know, it is the finale, so I'm perfectly fine with putting that effort in. But it's just like, yeah, you're gonna see a lot of content on Friday for Voltron Season 8. I'm excited for it. I don't think the trailers have done a great job at really hyping it up, is something I will say. And I don't think they've really put out many clips. They've mainly been like showing pictures, unlike social media and stuff like that. The Voltron official accounts have mainly been posting like pictures of characters and like key events from their past, rather than showing clips about what's happening. So they're definitely leaving a little bit of a mystery, the exact details of how exactly the season's going to play out. They've been very careful with what new footage they've shown, but in a way, I think that kind of works, in that everyone's going in not exactly knowing how it's going to pan out. But yeah, so that's been the channel update. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. If you have obviously suggestions for like specific video ideas, video series, that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on what I talked about here? But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.